What's going on, Colts Nation? I appreciate you joining me for another video where in this one, I want to talk about something on the defense, something that we've talked about plenty here on this channel. I didn't really expect to come back to this conversation, at least not this early, but there are, different things swirling around. So I wanted to go ahead, talk to you guys about what I'm seeing. And of course, I think a lot of this conversation could be contingent on what we see in tonight's game. The Steelers play the Bengals. The Bengals just traded for Joe Flacco in hopes that they would be able to get going and start winning and be able to get to a spot where they can still contend and have Joe Burrow come back and then they're all good. Doesn't seem likely. Right now they sit at 2-4. Things aren't going well for the Bengals. They continue to offensively and defensively just look pretty inept, outside of the occasional Jamar Chase making miracles happen to be able to score. So we'll see, can Joe Flacco with more time with the Bengals, can he, start to figure it out with them, with the weapons that they have and start to make things happen. But seemingly offensive line, not good enough. If you don't have a great offensive line, you're probably not going to be winning a whole lot of games anyways. So it continues to come up. Teams are going to explore trades for Trey Hendrickson. And of course the 49ers, and this is kind of where this started to get rolling. The 49ers are expected to make a strong push to try to land Bengals Trey Hendrickson before the trade deadline. Of course, Kay Adams has come out and talked about how Trey Hendrickson would be the perfect fit in Indy. And I think a lot of people would think that. Lou Anarumo, he was with Lou Anarumo for a while. It would just make sense for what the Colts need right now. Of course, we need to get healthy in the secondary. If we get healthy in the secondary, defense can be better. But we also need a consistent edge threat coming off the edge, somebody as a pass rusher that's going to command more attention, right? We have, Latu right now is our best edge rusher. He's not getting the sack numbers. He's also dealing with a lot of chips from tight ends, right? Double teams with tight ends. He's getting chipped. He's getting chipped by running backs, right? And then they're just whoever's on the other side. That's why Quiddy was able to get 2 sacks this past week because, well, we were in a situation where people are trying to take care of DeForest Buckner and Latu, right? So teams are taking care of those two. We need somebody else that they're going to have to pay attention to, right? And then if we bring Trey Hendrickson in and then they want to do that, chip and double team Trey Hendrickson, then Latu could see his sack numbers go up, right? So I think right now that just seems to be like the obvious answer. We had a video last week about, corner or edge. What's more important for this Colts defense? And I will continue to talk about how it's important for us to get healthy in the secondary. I think that's really going to be the main thing, is getting healthy in the secondary. And once we get healthy, we'll be fine. But in terms of the edge, like you really want to compete for a championship, go get a guy that can consistently win on the other side of Latu. Then you really get to start to see what Latu can do. And then you have another guy that's a threat in Trey Hendrickson. And then all of a sudden, like our team's just going to take away DeForest Buckner, right? Double team DeForest Buckner all day, and then you can eat on the edge. I'm just saying, you can't take care of all of them all the time. So, which has been the argument to go get Trey Hendrickson the whole year. We've talked about this throughout the offseason, in season, right? Training camp, preseason, regular season. Every time we talked about it, that's been the argument. You get Trey Hendrickson on this defensive line, you can't take care of everybody every snap. You're just not going to. We would be an incredibly tough defense to stop. You see how it's working with the Giants. They have Dexter Lawrence. They also have Abdul Carter. They have Brian Burns. They have Kayvon Thibodeau. And those guys are eating, right? So go get another edge guy. And I think getting Trey Hendrickson makes the most sense. In terms of contract, of course, we would have to do some restructures, but we've gone through that before. You can restructure a guy like DeForest Buckner. Why wouldn't you, right? You can restructure a guy like Quentin Nelson, Michael Pittman Jr., these guys making top money. You restructure their contracts, and we can easily open up the money that it would take to bring Trey Hendrickson in and still be able to open up some money and restructure to be able to have a couple extra million to play with for whatever roster moves you may need to make through the year, right? In terms of injuries, if you need to bring somebody in as a free agent at some point, whatever, Sante Samuel Jr. And so I just think right now the Colts being reported as somebody who could be a sleeper team to go get Bengals Trey Hendrickson just makes sense. I don't even think it's really much of a sleeper team, honestly. I know, people are expecting the 49ers to be heavy looking at somebody to bring in for the edge with Nick Bosa out for the rest of the year. Now with Fred Warner out, that conversation probably going to heat up with the 49ers. They're really looking at trying to get people on the edge to really start to help out that defense with them losing bodies for the rest of the season. But the Colts, Chris Ballard, he's done things differently this year, right? His free agent approach was different than it was in years past. What he's doing through the season, right? Not being as loyal to guys. We just saw Joe Bocci get cut. We've seen different guys get off the team. Right, the coaches seem to have a lot of power right now. Right, A.D. Mitchell, healthy scratch. So I just think bringing Trey Hendrickson in makes too much sense. Something we've talked about plenty of times, and really not a whole lot more to say that we haven't said in the past. Again, just wanted to bring up kind of what I've been seeing. And kind of the conversation surrounding all of this, and knowing that the Colts have to get something done on the edge, and we can make it work. We can restructure and make it work. We've gone through the numbers. We can make it work one way or another. So hopefully this is something that we see. Obviously, we restructured Kenny. I think that was more to open up a little bit of cap because of all the injuries that we've had, having to open up a little extra cap, but also Kenny is going to be missing out on incentives and some of the bonuses in his contract because he's sitting out a few weeks. So I think that was a little bit to help Kenny as well restructure. Right, he gets some more money up front. It opens up some money on the back end, and so I think we can do some more of that to be able to help ourselves out. It wouldn't be the Max Crosby contract where it's a $38 million cap hit next year. He's a great player, but I don't want Max Crosby taking up that much of the cap. We need to pay Daniel Jones. We just talked about what the numbers would look like yesterday. And so, bringing Max Crosby in, not really an option, to be honest with you, for what our cap is looking like next year and for the things that we need to do. But Trey Hendrickson, his contract ends at the end of this year. And if you wanted to re-sign him after that, figure it out. Or you just bring him in this year, try to make a run with it with a veteran guy that's been to a Super Bowl before, has been a really good player in the league for a long time, and has played with Louis Anarumo for a long time and understands what he wants, what he's trying to do on the defense. He could fit in as soon as he gets here. So going to be interesting to see how long it takes. The NFL trade deadline is coming up quickly. I believe it's November 4th, I believe is the date. Don't hold me to that. I think it's November 4th. I believe it's going to be the first Tuesday of November, if I'm not mistaken. But nonetheless, coming up very quickly. We're just a few weeks away. So if something's got to happen. It's got to happen soon. If the Colts start to restructure contracts, then we know something's happening and something's in the works. So hopefully this is something that we're able to talk more about. Hopefully this is something the Colts decide to do, whether it's Trey Hendrickson, Kayvon Thibodeau, not so much Bradley Chubb because his contract's kind of trash, but Jalen Phillips is talked about from the Dolphins as being somebody that could be out of the building as they potentially going on a fire sale, right? Jalen Waddle could be out of the building. I've seen even Devon Achane could be out of the building, and Jalen Phillips is in that conversation as well. So hopefully something happens soon. And if it does, of course, I'll let you guys know as soon as I possibly can. And whenever that news comes out, if that news comes out. So if you enjoy the content, make sure to hit the like button and make sure you guys subscribe with notifications on so you continue to get notified anytime we drop any content on this channel. Of course, I appreciate you stopping by for another video. And as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.